Move ahead now to Psalm 133, one of the shortest psalms of only 3 verses. This psalm contains one of the most well-known verses in the entire book of Psalms, indeed in the entire Bible, and it is a verse that is often set to music. One of the tunes of this verse is, again, one of the most well-known tunes in the entire field of Jewish music. And first, let me read it for you. A song of ascents of David. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers dwell together. It is like fine oil on the head, running down onto the beard of Aaron, that comes down over the collar of his robe, like the dew of Hermon, that falls upon the mountains of Zion. There the Lord ordained blessing, everlasting life. Well, the verse, as I'm sure you can guess, if you don't already know, that is so well known, is verse 1. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. How good and how pleasant it is that brothers dwell together. And as familiar as that verse is, the next verse appears to be kind of strange in context. It is like fine oil on the head running down onto the beard. What's that all about? Well, the psalmist is talking about fine oil, symbolizing the oil that was used to anoint priests, or the oil used to anoint kings. A reminiscence of the oil that Samuel, the prophet, used to anoint King David, and the direct reference here in this psalm, the oil that was employed by Moses, that he used to anoint his brother Aaron, high priest, Kohen Gadol. And so the idea of the oil running down onto the beard connotes the abundance of oil, the idea that there is not a paucity of oil, but an abundance of oil that is used for the ceremony. So much so that the oil runs down onto the beard, and in this case, the beard of Aaron. There is a midrash that states that when Moses anointed Aaron high priest, there was enough oil to run down onto his beard, and 2 little droplets of oil hung down from the edge of his beard like 2 pearls. It's a beautiful image. And then, compared to the dew of Mount Hermon in the northern part of the land of Israel, enough dew that would run down the mountain and supply the land with sufficient water to meet the needs of its people. The dew falls down the mountain of Hermon and all the way to Jerusalem, to Mount Zion, again, to water the environment and also to shed blessing upon all the people. The psalmist ends with a beautiful idea that God there, namely at Mount Zion, ordained blessing, bracha, Chaim ad olam, everlasting life, whatever that means. Again, many scholars believe that in the Bible there was no clear idea of a life after death or a world to come. But here we do have a hint or a reference to such an idea, if anything like that does exist in the Bible, everlasting life. Again, the meaning is unclear, but it is connected with the image of dew or water, water and dew as basic elements of life. And when that water reaches Mount Zion, again, Zion symbolizing a messianic image of a world at peace, that peace is everlasting and eternal, just as the Messianic age is supposed to be everlasting and eternal. And during that time of the Messianic age, all brothers will dwell together. Everyone will live together in peace. And such an existence is considered by the psalmist to be tov, good, and na'im, pleasant. Good in the sense of the establishment of a moral order that is blessed and defined by goodness, and pleasant to all the five senses, pleasant as an experience of something that allows us to feel serene, comforted, and even joyful in the pleasantness of it. We think of times now when matters seem to be so contentious in our political environment, in our social environment, rife with misunderstanding, intolerance, fear, xenophobia. We think of times now when the different factions in our government are unable to get along and reach consensus on basic and important issues that would benefit the citizens of our country. We think back on times when those different factions, Republicans and Democrats in our government, were able to reach across the aisle to strike compromise and to create bills that would be implemented for the benefit and well-being and welfare of the citizens and the people in our country. It seems like those times are a distant past and a distant memory. And yet we pray that in our political world, our society, that those times will be restored and that people of different factions will once again be able to come together and reach compromise and understand one another so that the people of our country will be helped. It may seem like a distant memory, and the hope for that may be a distant dream to be reestablished, but I believe it is possible, and it is something that we continue to pray for and to hope for and to work towards every day. With that, I now take up the guitar and I will sing the very well-known tune of Hine Matov, and then a slightly less well-known version of that same verse. Hine Matov manayim shever achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim shever achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shever achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shever achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim 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 shever achim gam yachad. Hine Matov yada da 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 da. Hine Matov yada da 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 da. Hine Matov manayim shever achim gam yachad. Hine Matov manayim shever achim gam yachad. Behold how good and pleasant it is for brothers and sisters, for all of us to dwell together, to live together in peace. May we see this reality come to pass speedily in our time. Thank you.